Hello, every pony. I am back. Weird Alicorn is back, but I'm not going to be reading to you guys today. Instead, I'm going to be fanboying like so fucking hard over the season 4 premiere because that shit just made me lose my shit, man. I'm telling you. Ah, I'm making this video right after I saw it, like not even like 30 minutes after I saw it. Unfortunately, my family was like interrupting me as I was watching it, but I saw like the whole thing pretty much. Like I think there was one part at the end I didn't see, which I'm probably gonna go back and rewatch later on, like tomorrow or whatever. But right now I'm just like fucking shaking with excitement, like with how fucking amazing that shit was. Oh, get out of here! The fucking battle between. Oh wait, hold on. Okay. I just want to say now, just to get it out of the way, don't watch this if you haven't, or don't listen to this if you haven't watched the season 4 premieres yet, part 1 and 2, because I'm going to be spoiling the shit out of them. If you don't care, then you don't care, you can listen to this, whatever. But I suggest, I mean, even if I tell you everything that's going to happen, it probably won't even amount to what it looks like on screen, because the fucking animation in this thing, I just like jizzed in my pants. It was so fucked. I was like, ah! I saw like the first opening couple of frames. I was like, oh, this looks so fucking good. But oh my god, I need to calm down. I'm just fanboying so hard. I was squeeing throughout that whole fucking premiere in ways that I think a man like with my voice should not be able to squee. I was just like, throughout the whole fucking thing. Okay. So here's the download. Season 4 premiere. If I'm pretty sure everyone saw it today, but if you haven't seen it, or if you like watching this in the distant future and want to the download and what happened, basically, Twilight's a princess now. And she's going to be doing the summer sun celebration, and she's like, "Yeah, I need to do that," but then she gets all kind of like Twilighty, like she does. She kind of gets worried about minimal things and trivial things. Minimal things. That doesn't even make any kind of sense. But yeah, she starts kind of like freaking out, and but she gets over it really quickly. There was one thing I didn't like in these two premieres. There was like one thing that I can think of off the top of my head right at this moment that stood out to me that I didn't like, and I'll get to that. But everything else was like, oh my god, it was just so fucking cool, man. So she's gonna be doing the summer sun celebration with Luna and Celestia. Cadence is buggered off back to the Crystal Empire. I mean, yeah, she has an empire to run, so that's her deal, and she has to do that. I can understand that. But so she's getting ready with Spike and the other elements. They're going to go back to Ponyville and celebrate there. Twilight has to stay in Canterlot with the other princesses, and you can already kind of tell that Twilight is like very like she still doesn't have a full grasp of what's going to happen with like being a princess and everything. She's still very worried about it. I don't know if this is supposed to take place like before like Equestria Girls. Maybe, I don't know. Because like at the beginning of the first half of this premiere, right at the beginning, like the first 30 seconds, right before the intro, and the intro kind of changed a bit, but I'll get to that. You see Twilight, she's flying very haphazardly, and Rainbow Dash is there coaching her, and she's like, "Oh, come on, you can do this or whatever," and and of course, she shows them the big finish, and it goes well at first, and then, of course, in typical My Little Pony fashion, it all goes to shit, in the very comically and all that. That was another thing I think I had problems with in this premiere, but that is more like an overarching problem. It's not really a problem, it's just my preference, but I'll get to that as well. So, I'm not good, if you can't tell, I'm not good at doing these kind of review thingies, but I'm not even going to call it a review. It's just me fanboying because I love this premiere so much. So the intro comes on, and at first I'm like, oh, they didn't change it that much. They gave Twilight some wings, but that's about it. But like at the very like end when they take the picture and like that changed because the picture is now like all of Ponyville. It's not just like the elements. It's like everyone is there. And Photo Finish takes the picture, which is fucking awesome. I was like, ah, my god, that's so fucking cool. And then when it gets like sent away to Celestia, and she like looks at it and smiles, and it's like all of them. It's the same picture with like all of Ponyville, but like Luna's next to her now, so Luna's like looking at it as well, and it's like the same exact shot, but it's just Luna has been pasted in. And the yeah, like I said, the picture is like all of Ponyville, which makes me think maybe this season we'll have to do a lot more with like other background ponies and like Twilight's relationship with them, which kind of makes sense because she's like a princess now, so she would probably have. But there's another big thing that I think this season is gonna have. We'll get to that, okay? So shit starts happening. Basically, like while Twilight's like freaking out with Spike, going over the checklist, you know, as she always does. Celestia comes in, and Celestia's like, "Oh, I'm so glad about this particular Summer Sun celebration." And Twilight's like, "Why is that?" And she's like, "Well, before it was always about like celebrating me, like banishing my sister to the moon, bitch." And uh, and now she gets to celebrate her transformation back. So you know, so I guess that means like only a year has passed since Twilight went to Ponyville. Which in my head, it doesn't really make sense because, like, to me, I always thought like at least 2 years had passed, or maybe three at like in my head. That's the passage of time went that way. But according to this, only a year has passed since the last Summer Sun celebration. What else was I going to say? There's so much shit going through my head right now. This is probably gonna be like a long ass video. I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna fanboy until I can't fanboy anymore. So yeah, Celestia says, "Oh yeah, I'm so glad I get to," and then it goes to like a shot. Like the animation in this fucking premiere is so good. It's so good. I'm just like, it's just so good. When like the elements are like looking at Twilight's stained glass window and like the light that's reflecting off their body, it's like, oh my god. It's so fun. And I was watching this on not the best TV. It was a good TV, but even then I could tell like, holy shit, it looks so fucking cool. Oh my god. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so Princess Celestia was like, "Oh yeah, I'm glad I get to celebrate it with Luna this time, you know." And Twilight's going to be there to celebrate it with them as well. While the other, like I said that I think already, the elements are going back to Ponyville. And Twilight is very like kind of down about that too. Like she feels like as if she's like missing something when they're not there with her. I never really got that impression, but I guess they're kind of building that up now that like that's going to be the main thing that they have to stick together. Which was one of the problems I had with this premiere, and like I said, we'll get to that. That was one of the two problems. I'll just say the first problem right now. It's not a problem at all, really. It's just the way the show is. Since it's a kids show, you kind of have like where I thought there could be a lot more like exposition and like storytelling. There's a lot more like jokes and stuff, you know, like Pinkie Pie doing whatever Pinkie Pie does, and there's a lot of that. But that's the trade-off, and I've always had to accept that. I mean, you know, it's a kids show. As much as, you know, you try to say, oh, well, you shouldn't talk down to kids, there are certain media for kids, you know. There's certain stuff you have to have that levity in there. You always have to have like a joke every, you know, 5 minutes, you know. And that's just something to do, you know, it just has to do with children's programming. Whatever. That's not actually a problem. That's just me begrudgingly having to accept that. And, which is odd because I watch, you know, a lot of kids' TV, so it's like, ugh, whatever. It's never mind that. That's not even a problem. That's just me being stupid. And we're gonna get to that, bro. I promise. But the rest, so where was I at? Where was I at? Oh my god. I got off on that. Oh yeah, so she was like, she's kind of sad that they're all going away to Ponyville and she's not going to be there with them, or they're not going to be in Canterlot with her, whatever. And it was a cute little scene with Pinkie Pie in there. She sends her like a letter as soon as they leave. The mailman gets like a lot of action in this premiere as well. I was like, this mailman's getting some action here, and it's not the same mailman. I don't think it's the one they had in the birthday cake for in, what was that, season 1 or 2? I think it was season 2. Yeah, it's gotta be season 2. No, wait. I don't know. I don't know My Little Pony anymore. I don't know anymore. This premiere has frazzled my brain so hard. Um, so Twilight's there with Spike in Canterlot, and they're preparing. And after that little scene where like Celestia walks in on that sounds bad. Walks in on Spike and Twilight. No, she just she enters and has a quick conversation with Twilight about, yeah, I'm glad about this Summer Sun celebration. She leaves the room, and then all of a sudden this like fucking vine of death like reaches out of the ground when she, like, Twilight doesn't see it, like it's off screen for her, but like as Celestia is walking away down the hall, something like evil vine thing, which I'm sure you guys saw in the promos, like there was vine things, the spiky horrible things. They look like King Sombra's horn or whatever, you know. It reaches up and presumably it like grabs her and takes her away, because then it like fades to black, and that's like the first commercial or whatever, or the first commercial after the intro. So that happens, and Twilight goes to bed, and she wakes up the next morning, and is like the fucking coolest looking scene ever. She like wakes up and she looks out, and the sun and the moon are like in the air at the same time, so like half the sky is light. Oh, and that's my fucking grandfather clock going off like crazy. The sun and the moon are just in the air at the same time, so half of the sky is light and half of it's dark. It looks so fucking cool, especially when they do this this kind of wide shot of all of Canterlot, you know, like where you see it like on the side of the mountain. They have like Canterlot is in the dark and like the rest of Equestria is in the light. It looks so fucking cool, man. It's just so fucking cool. So Twilight realizes, oh, something's up, and I really love what they do with Twilight here. She, like, you see her and she's like freaking out, like the rest of them. As soon as she hears that Celestia and Luna are gone, she's like freaking out. Like all the Canterlot ponies are freaking out. She's like, oh, what the fuck am I going to do? Oh, shit. And then one of the royal guards comes up to her, two of the royal guards, actually, and they're like, we need you to give us some orders now, because, like, you're the only princess here, because Cadence is off in the Crystal Empire. And she's like, oh, God, you can see that look on her face, and I was like, oh, man, come on, you're not going to have her, like, freaking out again. And no, they don't. I love that. They don't. She's like, you see her freak out, like, it's all done wordlessly. You see her eyes go like crazy, and she's like, "Oh shit! What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" And then she just has this look of determination, and she's like, "All right," like you could just see it in her eyes that like, I have to fucking deal with this. I'm a princess now. This is my responsibility. I love that. I fucking love that. That was so fucking cool. And she's like, "Oh well." She tells the guards to go look for Celestia and Luna, and report to me if you find anything at all. So the guards go off and do that. And Twilight, one of the guards comes up to Twilight and he's like, Princess Twilight, there's a disturbance in Ponyville. It seems as if the Everfree Forest is like attacking Ponyville, and you know, and then I think that's another Fade to Black. I think like it goes to commercial there. I don't. No, that seems too early. I don't really remember what it did then. But yeah, that's a new problem. So she's like, "Oh, I have to get to Ponyville now," and and so I don't really remember like where the first half ends and where the second half begins, but it's like around in that area. So like I forget her name now. Twilight. She's like, oh, I had to go help out, you know, the other elements. I gotta help out Applejack, and I like how Applejack kind of became the leader as well. It seems like very obvious. Like, you'd think maybe what's her name, fucking Rainbow Dash. I always have to say fucking Rainbow Dash. Is that some kind of like subliminal message my mind is setting? I don't know. Rainbow Dash. You'd think like she might be like the leader because she's so, you know, loyal to Equestria and all that, and you know she's very stoic and I mean she's brash, but she's very confident. She has the essence of a leader, but you can tell she's kind of like unrefined because she kind of heads headlong into things. So Applejack makes a very good. It's very easy to see her as a leader of the ponies when Twilight isn't there, because she's very family oriented. She knows how to deal with people, and she's very devoted to people. Um, so yeah, I liked how Applejack took over the reins there, so to speak. That no pun intended. Uh, so what was it? Twilight and Spike, they're like, oh, we have to. I hope we don't miss the train. And Spike is like, Twilight, you can fly now. Remember? And she's like, oh yeah. And so they take off in like a very haphazard manner, and that's kind of another joke where like Spike is getting sick as they're flying along to Ponyville. Finally, they arrive. Oh yeah, I missed the part where meanwhile in Ponyville, the elements are figuring out, hey, something is terrible. I love this scene with like fucking Rarity and Opal. Like Rarity's horn starts going on the like she wakes up and she looks out Carousel Boutique's windows and she sees like the sky is like, oh, there's something weird with the sky. And like meanwhile, like all the fucking evil vines are surrounding her, and she's like, oh well, whatever. She like doesn't think twice about it. But as soon like she goes to get herself some tea for I guess to drink for breakfast or whatever. And her horn starts like getting crazy because like the vines interfered with her magic or whatever. And like there's this great scene where like the teacup is like the teapot is chasing around Opal like throughout Carousel Boutique, and the look Opal gives her at the end is just like that cat like just wants to murder her afterwards. It's great. She's like, I didn't mean to do it, Opal. I don't know, whatever. That was one scene that kind of made me giggle. And then Fluttershy. I think Fluttershy finds out first. Like all the animals are like locked in her house and they're shivering with fear. And she's like, "Oh, what's going on? Sweet little animals. I'm sure it's nothing that hard." But she looks out and it's like that scene from the promo where she screams and all the vines are surrounding her. So and the apples find out as well, and Rainbow Dash has a clash with the Everfree clouds or whatever. And basically, you find out everyone finds out. So Twilight arrives, and they're all like in the library, and they're looking because they realize, oh shit, we don't have Twilight here to like kind of come up with the plans, which is getting to the problem that I'm going to have with the premiere in just a second. I just keep saying just a second. So they're looking around in the library for like a solution. Twilight comes in, she flies in haphazardly, and she appears, and she's like, they were all happy to be back together. Like, oh, now we can do everything. And Twilight's like, well, whatever this is, I'm sure we're going to need the elements of harmony. So, yeah, I'm going to grab those. And she puts them on every pony. And so what happened after that? I can't remember what happened after that now. Oh, like they're going through Ponyville, and they're like trying to think of a plan or something. Figure out what's doing this, what's causing like the vines to overtake Ponyville. And Twilight, there was this. I guess this is another problem I had. That she immediately assumes like, oh, it's got to be like fucking Discord, and she summons Discord in like comical manner. He's like taking a shower, and he's like, oh, what the hell is happening? And and there's like this scene where Discord is trying to convince them, it's not me. I really didn't do this. Like, I'm not doing this. This isn't my work. Which you'll find out later, it actually kind of is. But hey, he's not like doing anything malicious. This isn't like what he intended to happen or anything. And they don't even know that. Like, they're just like, no, you have to have something to do with this. And he's like, no, I'm really, I don't have anything to do with this. He's like zapping all around and being typical Discord. He has a great scene with Fluttershy. What does he call her? Shutterfly. I'm so glad one pony believes in me, right? Shutterfly. It's Fluttershy. I love that. You're like, whatever. So basically he's like, well, why don't you ask your zebra friend over there? And you see Zecora coming out of the woods with like this kind of Beverly Hillbillies pack she's carrying, like with all of her material things. She's like, I just got to that, she rhymes out, I just got out of there in time. In some way, she rhymes that out. And Twilight asks her, well, you're really smart. Like, you're very good with oddities and odd things that happen. Do you have any idea what's going on? And Zikora's like, oh, I really don't know at all, really. But if you drink this, and she just has this MacGuffin of a potion that's like, it helps out. It can only be used by Alicorns, first of all. And because, like, they have to change the liquid to white or something. Basically, Twilight does, like, she changes it so that she can drink it. And she takes a big gulp. And that's when we get to, like, just the fucking epicness of flashback. Which I knew it was a flashback. I knew it before anyone told me. It's a scene from the animatic that they showed, like back in August or whatever. It's the first scene where like you see Luna turn into Nightmare Moon. Basically, Twilight drinks it and she has like she goes fucking god mode and she has a flashback. And I love how they also recognize like that time has passed while she had the flashback. It wasn't like just she had the flashback in a second and she's back. No, like after she's had the flashback, like they're all looking at her like, "Oh shit, what, what the fuck just happened?" Like she's just been standing there, looking blankly into the space, like for like 5 minutes, drooling probably or whatever. They say she was crying or whatever. We'll get to that. So Twilight appears in the royal like equestrian castle. I think it's like the old castle. I think that's what it's supposed to be because there's like two thrones. And Luna appears and he's like, "Oh, you think they're all want to bask in your light, And she's being all, angsty or whatever. And that animatic did not do justice to what this fucking animation is when she transforms into Nightmare Moon. It looks so good. So good. She like stomps the fucking ground and she's like Tabitha St. Germain just does that amazing evil laugh. And like the floor just cracks and it breaks open the wall and the fucking moon's behind her and it rises up and it eclipses the sun. And then like the fucking fireball of death encases like fucking Luna and she's fucking explosion. And then she turns into Nightmare Moon, like her feet, her teeth like get sharp and her eyes go all fucking serpent like. It's just so fucking cool. And then it goes to commercial. And so it comes back from commercial and there's Luna or Nightmare Moon laughing maniacally. And Twilight, of course, is like freaking out. Like, I love the shot. They have like Luna's silhouette like over top of her, and like Twilight just shrinks under the sheer like evil aura of Nightmare Moon. And she's like, "Oh fuck, what's gonna happen?" And so they cut back. Nightmare Moon was like there laughing maniacally where she was, and Twilight's just kind of like, "Oh, what the fuck is happening?" And she's still trying to she still doesn't realize it's a flashback. And then all of a sudden, Celestia appears behind her. And at first, I thought it really seemed like Celestia knew she was there. Like they wrote that very well. I thought like, oh, it isn't a flashback. To me, like for that split second, I really thought like, oh, it's. I guess it transported her somewhere. It didn't actually give her a flashback or whatever. No, it is a flashback. You'll find that out later. But for the next couple of scenes, I really thought it was like happening in real time. I was like, oh shit. So Celestia's there like, oh, you can't do this, sister. And then like this fucking epic fucking battle happens. They're like flying all around. Fucking Nightmare Moon is just shooting evil death rays at fucking Celestia, and Celestia refuses to fight because, she's her sister. I can't do this. I can't fight you, she says. But it's just like this fucking, that scene from Harry Potter, like the fourth movie, where like he's flying around on the broom while the enormous like Hungarian horntail is chasing after him with the and just blowing fire. That's basically what this scene is. I wonder if it's actually supposed to be a reference to that because it looks so much like it. There's even a scene where like Luna blasts at Celestia and like there's like this bridge that looks very much like the bridge from the Hogwarts castle just crumbles, and I really thought like, oh, they have to be referencing Harry Potter in that because it looks so much like it. But it's just this cool fucking scene where like they're flying all around, and you see like the camera shaking as it's following them. It's like, oh my god, it's so fucking cool. Um, but Luna eventually, or Nightmare Moon eventually hits Celestia, and she goes down. She goes flying back into the throne room, and of course you know she's not dead. But for that second, you're like, oh shit, like she went down hard. Like she's lying there, and it got really emotional for like, you gotta think this show was intended for 10-year-old girls, and this scene is kind of emotional. Like you see lifeless Celestia just lying there, and Twilight is like crying over her body, and then all of a sudden Celestia gets up and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry I have to do this, sister, but you leave me no choice," or whatever. And she summons the elements of harmony and she banishes Luna to the moon. I'm sorry, I can't stop doing that. But yeah, so that was so fucking cool. Oh my god, I'm fucking loving this so much. Oh, um, what else happened? So yeah, Celestia banishes it, and then Twilight realizes, oh, this is actually a flashback. She comes back, and like they're all looking at her like, oh, you were like crying and like just standing there like freaking out. She's like, oh, okay. And of course, Discord has some great lines here and there. And then she takes another sip because she's like, well, that didn't really tell me anything about what's happening now. And so the next scene is she flashes back to is Luna and Celestia go up to Discord. This is during Discord's reign. And they never really mentioned. I was like, I forgot they had mentioned that. Yeah, like Discord used to rule over Equestria before Celestia or Luna did, and like Celestia and Luna like look all kind of like battle scarred, like their fur is kind of messed up and shit. It's not like very noticeable, but there's a great scene where like uh, Discord's like, oh, what's the matter, you two? Want to play pin the tail on the pony? And he has Celestia's tail, and she looks back, and her symbol for her tail is gone. It's like, oh shit, I love that. But they're like, we've had it, we've had enough of your fucking games, and Discord's like, oh, come on, just, sit down and, you want some? And he's like eating seeds or whatever. I thought they were like sunflower seeds, but they actually have a greater importance. But basically he throws them at their faces or whatever, and they like bounce off. They're just standing there glaring at him. But those seeds, I love the writing in that part. I love it. It's so good. I love what they do with the seeds. But moving on, basically they seal fucking Discord in stone, and he looks just like he did in the season 2 premiere, where he's like at the beginning with that fucking awful pose. He's like, ah! You find out he wasn't actually like the look that I thought he had was like of agony, that he's getting blasted with this like element of harmony power, but he's just laughing the whole time as he's getting turned to stone. I love that. What else is it? So she flashes back to that, and then the flashback goes to another part, like a different kind of flashback, but it's like it's in like the same sequence basically. And you see Celestia and Luna go to what they call the Tree of Harmony, and that's where they got the elements from. It's like this big kind of tree of life fucking thing, and in the middle is Twilight's cutie mark, and then the outer branches are the other elements, and like the trunk is like has the moon and the sun and the moon. So yeah, it looks really cool, and like Celestia says, or Luna says, well, won't taking these elements from the tree like weaken it? And Celestia's like, don't worry about it, man. In so many words. We need it right now more than the tree needs it, basically. So that's how they got the elements. That's where the elements came from. The Tree of Harmony. So Twilight realizes, oh, we need to, take back these elements to the tree or whatever. We need to... Oh, wait, no, she doesn't realize that they need to give the elements to the tree yet. She just realizes, oh, the tree is in trouble. We should go help out the tree. And what I found was pretty funny was, like, Applejack's like, wait, so you want us to go help out a tree? Which is like, well, you fucking, like, named a tree and, like, kept it in high security lockdown when you were transporting it to Appaloosa, that episode, like, a while back or whatever. I was like, you know, being a bit of a hypocrite there, Applejack. Whatever. So they go off and they go into the Everfree Forest. Discord stays behind to like I guess help out whatever wherever he can with the permits. He's just fucking about. He doesn't give a shit really. He's being very ambiguous with his motives. But they go into the Everfree Forest. They get to like this fucking Dora the Explorer kind of fucking obstacle where they have to hop over the rocks to get to the other side of the river. And I'm like, oh, this is so hard. And at first, I thought there was gonna be like Steve Magnet was gonna have another appearance, so he's like fucking evil though, like because the vines have taken him. That would have been awesome. But no, what they do is like Twilight jumps onto the rocks, and like this fucking crocodile. I think they call it a crocodile. I'm pretty sure that's what they call it. I didn't hear it right. I don't think. I think they called it a crocodile because it would make sense. Like a crag is like a bunch of rocks, so it's like a mountain or whatever. The aggro crag for those of you who watched Guts back in the day, whatever. But this like fucking, it looks like it's a stony looking alligator crocodile thing comes flying out of the water and like chops at her, and she gets away. But then she like gets cornered by it, and her wings aren't like working like they should. She's like freaking out. She's terrified, you know. She's like, this fucking monster is coming at her. Luckily, the other elements save her in time. Like Applejack ropes it up and they tie it down. But then this is the part I had. This is the problem I had with the premiere. This is the one problem. They tell Applejack goes, you know, you're not really like up to par right now. You know, you don't know how to handle your wings yet, and you know, Equestria really needs a princess. We can't afford to lose another princess. And she has a point there. But then they, like, send her away. Like, you should just wait back at Ponyville. Which I fucking hate. I was like, oh, come on, writers. Because you know she's just going to come right back at the end. But I will appreciate the fact that they didn't drag it out. They, like, she goes back. Discord says some things to get under her skin, and then she goes right back. I do enjoy that. She goes right back to look for them. But just the fact that they had that, I was like, oh, come on. Like, And I already knew what the lesson was. Oh, we should all stick together. I mean, they were hammering that in from the first half, but God, I was like, this is so fucking contrived. Like, I hate that. That was the one problem I had with it. That's like the one major problem. That was it. And it wasn't even that big. It was like literally 5 minutes and she's back with them. So the other elements find the Tree of Harmony, and they're like, well, we don't know what to do. Fuck, man. And meanwhile, Twilight's back in the forest looking for them, and she gets, like, fucking attacked by these plant Pokemon. It's like, I don't know. She gets, like, sleep powder. That's what it looks like. It looks like sleep powder plants. They look like giant Venus flytraps, but when they open up their mouths, they, like... They shoot out this like nasty like spore looking thing that would probably like change Twilight into a clicker or something. The Last of Us, which would have been an awesome ending to this. So the elements are there, and they're like, we don't know what to do with this tree. Because they try to like take it by brute force, and obviously that doesn't work. And they don't have a plan. And they realize they need Twilight, and then Spike appears. He's like, Twilight's in some like deep shit right now. You should probably go help her out. And they do, and then they learn their lesson. Oh, we should all stick together, just like you knew they would. Whatever. They finally get to the Tree of Harmony, oh yeah, that's when Twilight realizes like, oh, it needs our elements. Like it can't. The elements have been away from the tree for too long. It needs them to help it contain the Everfree Forest. So I guess like the Everfree Forest is like really evil, I guess, without like being contained or whatever. So they do. Like there's like this big struggle, but she gets the elements back to the tree, and then it frees the other princesses who were just like it is like this great scene where like it looks like. If you guys have ever played, like, Okami, it's like when you purify a region, like, this big, giant light of fucking awesome purity and powerfulness, it just exudes from the tree, and it wipes away all the vines and stuff. And then princesses are revealed to have been like trapped in the vines, and they're like, "Oh, that was very hard of you to do, to let go of the elements like that, but you're very courageous to do that." Um, so basically, what was it? They have that moment. Twilight goes over and hugs the princesses, and then she has that little like spark in her eye, like she did in the season 3 finale. She gets that little like star in her eyes, sparkly Kira glimmer thing. And there's like this kind of like magical light like exudes from her cutie mark on the tree, and it goes down the trunk and into the roots, and it sprouts a new bud, and the bud opens up, and there's like this big or it's not big, but it's like this chest, and it has 6 keys in it. And you're like, oh, what is this? And Celestia's like, well, I don't even know, but I'm sure you'll have to figure it out together. So that's what I think this season 4 is going to be about. I think it's going to be like every couple of episodes, one of the elements is going to find their key, and then they'll be able to put it into the chest. And then probably like the season finale is going to be like Twilight's key, or I don't know. That's just my prediction. I don't know if that's right, but maybe they might even drag it out over more seasons. But what I think season 4 is going to be is just them looking for these keys and stuff and trying to figure out how to get these keys. Plus, that's not going to take up all 26 episodes, but that's going to be like, probably one of the main things they're going to be doing. And then Discord appears. That was one of the moments when my family interrupted me. Like right at the very end, where it was getting good. Like, and of course, someone walks in, they're asking me shit. So I didn't really see what happened there, like right afterwards. But Discord comes in, and he's like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I this whole thing probably happened from me, because those seeds that he threw at, like, remember I said those seeds were important? The seeds that he threw at Celestia and Luna, like all those thousands of years back, they were actually meant like as part of his overall master plan. They would like embed themselves into the ground and like feed themselves into the Tree of Harmony and like corrupt it. But he realized, oh, it didn't work until now. Like he had like, I guess he'd totally forgotten about it. But yeah. So Discord is a good guy, and I like. And Twilight says, "What you could have told us this earlier?" And Discord's like, "Well, you wouldn't have learned your lesson then." I love that. And that's kind of the role that I figured Discord was going to be taking. He was going to be like the mentor who comes off as very ambiguous. You don't know what his intentions are, but in the end, he's like overall he's doing it to help you. He wants you to learn lessons and stuff, which I really like. I like that more than evil Discord. I like that a lot. And then the episode ends with like Twilight there with the princesses doing the summer sun celebration, and I was just sitting there in awe. I was just like, that was fucking amazing. And I was like, I wasn't planning on making a video, but I knew I had to vent to something. So you guys are going to be my vent. This video has gone on for like almost 40 minutes now. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been asking, where's chapter 8 of Close Bonds coming out? It's coming out, all right? I'll get to it. Probably next week, I think. Yeah. But yeah, that was like me fanboying all over, just so hard on the season 4 premiere. And I hope I'm not like a black sheep in this. I hope everyone loves it as much as I do, because it was fucking amazing to me. So I'll see you guys later. Spread the peace, love, and tolerance and all that shit. And I will be back with another video. Later.